What's up, ladies and gents? Hopefully this video is not coming out too late. There's a couple of things that I want to caution you guys before you start to roll on this upcoming Childe banner, and I also have some fun facts about Childe for those who have never used him before. There is one very important thing that I need to tell all of you guys. Only roll on this banner if you are willing to accept the worst possible outcome. If you want Rosaria but not Childe, I would not recommend rolling at all. If you must roll, then I would say only use 10 to 20 rolls. Rosaria is going to come back to another banner later on, and she'll be introduced to the standard banner so you don't have to worry. If you don't want Childe, you run the risk of getting him and wasting your pity. I had to learn this the hard way back in the day. You can see my reaction in this video when I rolled on the Childe banner last time, and I'll be honest, it felt terrible. Until I got bailed out 3 rolls later, but not everyone's gonna get that lucky. Don't worry about building pity, you'll accumulate it on whatever banner you're gonna roll on in the future. Since I did get Childe, I'll let you guys know some things that you might want to know before you get him, so that way you aren't caught off guard when you do start to use him. This isn't going to be me trying to convince you whether or not you should go for him or any of these other characters, since ultimately that's your decision and your primogems. I just want to mention some important facts that you guys may or may not know about him before you roll for him, because he is a one-of-a-kind character. He does have some pros and cons, and isn't necessarily as clear-cut as someone like Venti, and I'm only going to speak about Constellation 0 because that's what I have. Some of the constellations are nice, but whether or not they're worth the money is ultimately up for you to decide, but I can at least tell you that C0 is mighty fine for what he is. On the surface, Childe is completely unique and a ton of fun to use. He's the only character with 2 types of weapons as of right now. His melee stance is the bread and butter and is going to enable you to use him as a main or sub DPS and deal a ton of damage. You get to play as a ninja style character and apply a status called Riptide, which deals nice splash damage to surrounding enemies. But the most important thing to note is that his melee cooldown is very high and it scales worse the longer you use it, up to the maximum time of 30 seconds. If you wait out the 30 seconds, the cooldown becomes 45 seconds. You'll never want to use up all the time because then you'll have to wait an extra 15 seconds for the maximum time of 45-second cooldown, at which point he just turns into a cheerleader. Also, fun fact, his melee stance doesn't have a plunge attack, so if you're going to be gliding with him, make sure you turn it off so you don't get caught with your pants down. Because of his really high cooldown times in melee form, I recommend you use it in short bursts, lasting for about 10 to 15 seconds. This lets you apply Hydro, Riptide, and then use your ult on enemies in a reasonable amount of time, and he can swap out. If you can do more work in a shorter amount of time, the better for him. The less active time he's used, the shorter his cooldowns are going to be. Childe also pairs really well with off-field damage reaction units like Zhongli and Fischl, but Kaya, Rosaria, and Beto's ultimates also work very well with him. And one thing that I didn't get to mention in my other video is that Childe does have one of the strongest talent abilities in the game. He increases your entire party's attack talent level by 1. For every carry unit that you have in your party at talent level 9, that's effectively a free 750,000 more and a crown he's giving you just by having him. And if your weekly RNG luck is god awful, then using him is like getting the weekly drop that the game never gives you. The biggest issue that I personally have with him is that I love playing the melee stance, but you get punished so hard the longer you use it. So it really feels like the game is telling me to not have fun. It's fine for things like Domains or Spiral Abyss, where I really only need him for a short amount of time to apply Wet and Riptide, but when I want to explore and use him in the world, I can't use him as my main DPS because I have to wait so long. Because of this, I would recommend that you run 1 to 2 other main carries in your exploration party when you're playing with Childe, just so you can have the most fun. That's just what I have for my parties, and I found I have the most fun when I do that. You're free to experiment when you get him though. I also briefly want to talk about the 4 stars on this banner. Let's start with Barbara. Since Barbara is a free character everyone has, you're just going for constellations. C6 is really nice, but Barbara is really the character that excites me the least on this banner. If you're looking for constellations, go for it. Fischl pairs really well with Childe because Oz can do a ton of off-field damage and react. She's insanely strong and her damage scales very well. If you use her with Childe, make sure to level her talents, specifically the Oz ability at least, and make sure you have a good weapon on her. Windbloom Ode, Prototype Crescent work really well until you can get something like Stringless or Alley Hunter, and make sure that you get her a decent artifact set so Oz can really hit like a truck. It's hard to fully judge Rosaria because she's brand new, but her ult pairs very nicely with Childe because it's an off-field free source, just like Kaya. I'm sure a good amount of you are going to roll because she's your waifu. I already mentioned in my warning in the beginning, but please be careful when you roll if you just want her. Sometimes you gotta risk it for the biscuit, and you gotta be prepared for the worst if you don't get what you want. But I full-heartedly support you if you want her. Ultimately, if you really want Childe or Rosaria, then just roll. It's your account, you are free to do what you want. Since the game is constantly evolving and changing over time, rolling for meta doesn't really scale well, so you're better off just rolling on the character that will either enable the most fun for you or give you the most enjoyment. Like I said in the beginning, make sure you roll because you want to and are willing to accept the consequences. I wanted to make this video to clarify and help you guys make sure that you know what you're rolling for. I also wanted to mention that there's certain things that make Childe not as fun for me as maybe someone else. So I wanted to caution you guys as well, in case you didn't know that. To those that strictly want Rosaria but not Childe, be careful. MiHoYo's desire sensor is always watching, and it's ready to bite you when you least expect it, I promise you. And to those that were rolling no matter what, I wish you the best of luck on your rolls. Anyway guys, that's just a short one from me. My name is Sylph, thank you so much for watching, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Peace out everyone.